5 years after Washington state residents voted to ban smoking cigarettes, cigars, and pipes in public places, King County now wants to add one more thing to the banned list: electronic cigarettes. Well, wait till you hear why. The 2006 state law banned smoking in bars and restaurants on the basis that secondhand smoke causes cancer and other diseases. Secondhand. It doesn't. It's not to say it doesn't make people uncomfortable. It doesn't say that. Of course, I think it's largely in people's minds, but I don't even want to go there because I'm not going to win that argument with people. You get it in your head that somebody smoking a cigarette 25 or 30 feet away from you makes you feel bad. I'm not going to be able to talk you out of it. I'm not a shrink. So, secondhand smoke. They're going to get rid of all cigarettes, all pipes, all the cigars in public places. King County's rationale for adding e-cigarettes is a little different. E-cigarettes, from which users inhale vaporized nicotine, don't emit smoke. They produce water vapor. It doesn't smell. It's combustion-free. There's no flame. There's no fire. There's no tobacco. Nothing is burning. There's just a liquid in the nicotine cartridge that screws onto the battery. The battery is what looks like the cigarette. When you inhale, the battery powers the vapor or the atomizer inside the cartridge, and that turns the liquidized or liquefied nicotine into a water vapor that looks just like smoke. They come in all kinds of different flavors, depending on from where you buy them. And they're no different than nicotine gum or the nicotine patch. It's a way for people to quit smoking tobacco. They ought to be hailed. They should be hailed and applauded by these people on the left who are so insistent that we stay safe and stay alive and don't die. It's like Michelle Obama cares so much about what your kids eat that you cannot be allowed to make the decision. We can't leave such important matters up to the parents, she said. Well, same thing here. Public health officials in the state of Washington say that e-cigs are so similar to the real thing that they make tobacco enforcement difficult and often prompt real smokers to think it's okay to light up in public. And that leads to secondhand smoke, which means we got to ban e-cigs. Let me translate this for you. Guy lights up an e-cig in a public place. Cigarette smokers, so stupid and so idiotic, whoa, maybe you can smoke here. Brings out his real cigarette and lights up. People start dying left and right because there's secondhand smoke where there otherwise wouldn't be. So we've got to ban e-cigs because they look too real. Yes, the e-cig user is a conspirator to a crime, in essence. That doesn't exist. Well, I've had, I use these things occasionally, and I've had some funny experiences with them. Last year, I was judging the Miss America pageant out in Las Vegas. And I loved getting on the elevator with all the other judges and some of the Miss America pageant officials and pulling a thing out of my breast pocket, my jacket pocket, and start puffing. And you could hear some people, I always be in the front of the elevator, everybody behind me. You can hear the gasps, hear the whispers. He's smoking a cigarette. What do we do? He's smoking a cigarette. Oh, my God, what do we do? You can't smoke it here. It's an elevator. I hear all this, and I keep puffing away. And I turn around, and I said, did you see me light it? I pulled it out of my pocket. Here, let me show you. It's an e-cig. It's just water vapor. And I blow some very near somebody's face. Oh, you smell it. That's right. It's not a cigarette. And I let them in on the gag. I just love pulling the thing out of an elevator and freaking people out like I just did you. And they all start laughing like they're in on a joke. I will do this in a restaurant, much to the chagrin of Catherine, simply because she knows I'm taunting people. And nobody else fired up. No, nobody else fired. In fact, nobody were. Well, this past September, I was out in Hawaii on the Big Island. And after shooting an episode of The Haney Project, by the way, we've got 6 of those in the can now, and there are 8. We've got 2 to go. The last portion of last episode was shot Saturday in Hilton Head at a great place, Palmetto Golf Club. Not Hilton Head Island. It was about 54 degrees and raining all day long, and it was a great day. This is going to be people who watch the beginning of this show. If you watch every episode, it starts January 11th, a half-hour show. If you watch the 8, and we've got 6 in the can, there are 8 episodes, and I've been improving for the 4 episodes. It's fun. This is people are going to be shocked and they're going to be mad that I'm getting better. But anyway, back to the story. After shooting an episode in Hawaii on the Big Island, we shot it at a 4 Seasons course there. And the after-round interview with me and the producer and Hank Haney and some of my guys on the shoot, friends George Brett and Mike Hartley, they all were interviewed about my game and so forth. We finished all that, and we went to the bar. Great outdoor bar, great 4 Seasons bar on the Big Island, and I whipped out my e-cig. And I started smoking it. For 10 minutes, total freedom. And then the general manager came up, very sheepish, embarrassed, but he had to do his job. Mr. Limbaugh, I know you're aware that no smoking allowed in public here, and there are people eating over there, and there were people eating about 20 yards away, outside. And I looked at him and I said, it's not a cigarette. And I unscrewed the nicotine cartridge and I showed him the battery and I showed these people, they think it's cigarette because the end of it lights up like looks like a cigarette at the end when you take a puff on it. It's actually the battery indicator. When it flashes 3 times, the battery's dead. So I said, it's just water vapor. And I explained, and I exhaled some water vapor near him so he could smell it. There wasn't any smell. He said, "Oh, that's fine. Okay, fine." So I continued to smoke. He came back a short while later. Said, "Mr. Limbaugh, we're still getting some customer complaints." I said, "Why?" "Well, one woman says you look like you're enjoying yourself so much, and it could be setting a bad example for the children that are here with their parents. You're looking like you really enjoy it, and it might be tempting children to want to smoke." And I said, "Who said this?" "Oh, Mr. Limbaugh, I don't, it's one of our female patrons." So I said, "Well, I'll keep that in mind. Keep that in mind." And I put it down for a while and started looking around. Because, I have been trained now over these many years. I can spot those who are staring daggers at me. So I let some time go by. I did not look at the crowd gathered after the general manager left. In fact, I looked a little ticked off as part of the act so that whoever it was complaining would feel good. We succeeded. Limbaugh's ticked off. So after about 10 more minutes, I started looking around, and I found 2 or 3 really good suspects. Who it could have been. I found 2 or 3. You recognize a genuine smile. You recognize a smug stare. And you recognize daggers. You just do. It's a matter of learned security procedure. So when I thought I had figured out these top 3, they were in different areas. I picked it back up and took a puff facing each direction, just to let them know that their happiness was temporary. And the GM never showed up, didn't come back or anything, and then we left, I guess, another half. We were there an hour and a half, so we left about a half hour after that. And Of course, all my buddies, there's 9 of us there, and they're all in on the joke. I even gave one to Hartley. Hartley started puffing on one, so that ticked him off even more. I just know it did. I didn't see it. Nobody came up and said so, but I just know it. Folks, it's just me. You know, these nannies, these people want to butt their noses into my life. I wasn't hurting these people. I wasn't harming anybody. I was minding my own business, but they had to go and get the management, insert themselves into my affairs. Fine, you do that. I'm going to behave a certain way. Now, if I was breaking a law, if it was a cigarette, I would have never lit it up in the first place. We all know you can't smoke in public. I don't smoke cigarettes anyway. I would not have lit one. Or lighted one, whatever the correct way to say it. But here we are now in King County, Georgia, Washington. It's all because they're going to ban these things, all because it might send a signal to real smokers that they can light up, and that will create secondhand smoke. Co-conspirators to a crime not taking place. King County, the place in Washington where you steal as many votes as you need if you're a Democrat, where they have more votes than voters, but don't